we call program, as long as it is present on the disk, it's a passive entity. The moment it enters the main memory, or it is getting executed by the CPU, it is called as a process. So program is a passive entity while process is an active entity. Okay, it's like this. As long as you are in a classroom, you are passive entities. That means you will not respond to whatever is being asked to you, or whatever is being told to you. You will not speak anything. You will simply listening to, or you may not be listening, or you may be posing as if you are listening to the teacher. So you are a passive entity as long as you are in the class. The moment you enter a theater, movie, to watch a movie, you all will be active entities. So likewise, as long as the program is present on the disk, on the secondary memory, it's a passive entity. The moment it enters the RAM, that is the main memory, for the execution by the CPU, then it becomes an active entity. So that's the difference. So how can we define a process? A process can be defined as program under execution, which is either present in the main memory or getting executed by the CPU, is referred to as a process. Okay. Now, in your portions, you have. Let me just. So this is process concept. We will now look at process scheduling. Process scheduling. Now let us assume in the disk, let us assume there are few programs. Different programs are there. All of them cannot be executed by the CPU until they enter what is called as the main memory. So there can be thousands of programs on the disk. Okay, there can be thousands of programs present on the disk. All of them cannot enter main memory. Okay, in order for the CPU to execute, they should be present in the main memory. If suppose I bring only one program into main memory, okay, then what happens? Within no time, CPU, takes up. You all know that CPU is the fastest unit that is present in the computer, right? So within no time, the program that has entered the main memory would have got executed by the CPU, and thereafter CPU will not have any other better business other than waiting for the next program to enter the main memory. Until the next program enters main memory, CPU will be idle. So when CPU starts wasting its time waiting for a program to enter main memory, okay, the overall performance of the system comes down. So we are making the CPU waste its time, right? So we need to see that in order to improve the overall efficiency of the system, we need to make sure that CPU is busy all the times. So how can we make CPU busy? By bringing, instead of bringing, main memory's size is less, we all know, compared to the memory capacity of a disk. Memory capacity of main memory, that is RAM, is lesser, but it is not so small that it can store only one program. We can bring more than one program into main memory. If not all programs that are present in the disk may not be brought into main memory. However, let us assume there are 1,000 programs. It may not be possible to bring all 1,000 programs into main memory, but it is not so small that it can bring only one program. It can definitely accommodate, okay, 2 or 3 programs. Say, let us now assume out of these 5 programs that are visible to you, 5 boxes that are visible to you, okay, 2 programs are now in the main memory. This concept is referred to as, what is this concept called? Trying to bring more than one program. Okay, if I bring only one program into main memory, then within no time CPU completes the execution, and it will have to wait for the next program to enter the main memory. When the CPU starts waiting for the processes to enter the main memory, the programs to enter the main memory, the overall efficiency of the system comes down. We want the overall efficiency of the system to be more. So in order to have a better overall efficiency of the system, we need to keep CPU busy. How can we keep the CPU busy? By trying to bring more than one program, so that upon completion of one program, the CPU will still have another program, okay, for execution. So it will we will see that the idle time of the CPU is reduced. So this concept is referred to as dash. What is this called? Can somebody tell me? What is this concept called? Instead of bringing only one program into main memory, I am trying to bring more than one program into main memory. This concept of bringing more than one program into main memory is called dash.
CPU scheduling.
What is this called?
CPU scheduling.
CPU scheduling. Because the heading is process scheduling, you are calling it this as CPU scheduling. Anybody else? What he is calling, trying to bring more than one program into main memory is called as, okay, he is telling that as CPU scheduling. I will now tell this as process scheduling, option B, because that is also there. Process scheduling. Option C.
Multitasking.
Multitasking. Option D, none. I will give the last option, because if I keep on asking the options from you, my question itself may turn out to be wrong. So I don't want my question to be wrong. So to be at safer side, I include one option, that is none, so that my question will not be wrong. Okay, let us now see. One of your friends told it is CPU scheduling, and because that word is already there, I gave option B. Then one of your friends, classmates, okay, she told it is multitasking, and okay, to be at safer side, I have included one more option, which is called as D. So now looking at these four options, how many of you now prefer option A, CPU scheduling ಅನ್ನೋರು ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ? ಶ್ರೀಧರ್,
ಸರ್,
ನೀನೇ ಅಲ್ವಾ CPU ಶೆಡ್ಯೂಲಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತ ಐಡಿಯಾ ಕೊಟ್ಟವನು?
ನಾನೇ ಸರ್, ನಾನೇ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ.
ಓಕೆ, ನೀನ್ ಹೆಂಗೋ ಇದ್ದೀಯಾ ಅದ್ರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ. ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್. ನಿನ್ ಕೈ ಇಟ್ಟಿದೀಯ ಇವಾಗ. ಥಮ್ಸ್ ಅಪ್ ಸಿಂಬಲ್ ತೋರಿಸಿದೆ. ಬೇರೆಯವರು ಥಮ್ಸ್ ಅಪ್ ಸಿಂಬಲ್ ತೋರಿಸಿ. ಯಾರ್ಯಾರು whoever are there with this particular answer, please okay, show the thumbs up symbol. Anybody else with option A? Suprita? ಏನಮ್ಮ?
ಸರ್, ಅವರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಇದು ಕ್ಯಾಮ್ರಾ ಆಫ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳಿ ಸರ್, ಅದು ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ.
ಕ್ಯಾಮ್ರಾ ನೀವು ಆಫ್ ಮಾಡ್ರಮ್ಮ, ನನಗೆ ಕಾಣುತ್ತಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಮೇಲೆ. ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಕ್ಯಾಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಚಾಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲೂ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಪಾಪ.
ಸರ್, ಯಾರು ಕ್ಯಾಮ್ರಾ ಆನ್ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ.
ಹೌದಾ? ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಕಾಣಿಸುತ್ತಪ್ಪ ನನಗೆ.
ಸರ್, ಅವಾಗ ನೀವು ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್
ಮಾತಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಆ ತರ ಬರುತ್ತೆ.
ಏನಮ್ಮ?
ಸರ್, ಅವ್ರು ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ ಸರ್.
ಓಕೆ, ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ಮಾತಾಡು ಅವಾಗ.
ಸರ್,
ಯಾರ್ಯಾರು ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಎ ಜೊತೆಗಿದ್ದೀರಾ CPU ಶೆಡ್ಯೂಲಿಂಗ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ? ಓಕೆ, ಹೇಳಿ ಹೋಗ್ಲಿ, ಬಾಯಲ್ಲೇ ಹೇಳಿ. ಯಾರು ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ರು ಯಾರು?
ಸಾಗರ್ ಜಿ.
ಓಕೆ, ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಯಾರು? ಸಾಗರ್ ಜಿ. ಸಾಗರ್ ಜಿ, ಓಕೆ, ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ಇದ್ದೀರಾಪ? ಸಾಗರ್ ಜಿ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬೇರೆ ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ? ಓಕೆ, so this option is wrong. I am eliminating the wrong answer, one of the wrong answers. Now if I give one more chance, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಚಾನ್ಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ ನಾನು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ. You can use okay, by taking this chance you are allowed to pick one from these three. So now how many of you now feel that the answer is process scheduling, trying to bring more than one program from the disk into main memory so as to keep the CPU busy, okay, and to improve the overall performance of the system. We are trying to bring more than one program. So this concept is referred to as dash. How many of you feel the answer as D, which is process scheduling now? Are there anybody with the answer process scheduling? Are there anybody with the answer process scheduling? Ilva? So you are not with this option, right? Okay. I will erase this also. There was one girl who was with multitasking. So now how many of you would like to join her for this particular answer? C, option C, multitasking. How many of you think the answer is multitasking? Rakesh. Then who else? Rakesh says he is with this answer, multitasking. Are you understanding my question? First of all, ನೀವು answer ಹೇಳೋದು ಅದು secondary. The answer what you give is a secondary. First of all, I just want to know whether you have understood the question first of all or not. Have you understood the question? My question is the process of bringing more than one program from the disk into main memory to keep the CPU busy and to make the performance, to bring the performance of the computer up. Okay, we are using this process. So this process is referred to as dash. Are you with
process scheduling? Process scheduling.
That was erased, no? Okay, option B was erased. Now you understood the question. Okay, so because you understood the question now, you want that option B to come back. Okay, I am now writing process scheduling. How many of you are now with the process scheduling? How many of you are now with process scheduling? Process scheduling is not the right answer. Okay, anyhow, I am erasing that. Now you tell me, how many of you are with multitasking? It is not even multitasking. It is not even multitasking. Option is none here. So if you are telling that the option is none, you are sure that these three are not the right answer. But now you have to tell me, if you feel those three are not the right answers, you have to tell me which is the right answer, which according to you comes under it is none. Because why it is none? Because option A I will give for none. You tell me. It is not CPU scheduling, it is not process scheduling, it is not multitasking. The answer is none. It is none because then what else can be the answer?
Parallel computing. Parallel computing.
Parallel computing. He considers this as parallel computing.
Multi-programming.
Who is it? Suprita. Multi-programming. Option C. She feels, Suprita feels, it is multi-programming. Sagar?
Sir.
Okay. Any other answers?
Memory management.
Memory management. Then, do you think there is any other answer for this? Shloka. Tell ma. Shloka, do you have any answer for this? The correct answer is multi-programming. Suprita, okay, she gave the answer correctly. However, she could have given the answer directly. Okay, she could have told the answer as none, but she did not answer then when it was asked. Okay, after giving so many hints, okay, she realized that it could be multi-programming. Okay, now, what do you mean by multi-programming? Trying to bring more than one program into main memory so that the CPU will not wait for one more process for the process to enter from secondary memory into main memory. So immediately upon completion of the first program, it can take up the execution of the second program. So this concept is called as multi-programming. What is this called? Multi-programming. And how many programs I am bringing in, okay, that is referred to as the degree. So the degree of multi-programming here in this case, the degree is 2 because I have brought more than one program into main memory. So these are some of the techniques which the operating system uses. Operating system is often referred to as a resource manager. It will manage the resources of a computer. What are the different resources of a computer? Processor is one resource, memory is one resource, input, output. Okay, these are considered as the resources. So as the operating system manages these resources of the computer, it is referred to as the resource manager. So it has to manage each of these resources properly. So for that reason, it makes use of so many techniques, and one such technique is called multi-programming. So now let us come to the term scheduling. Okay, now out of let us now we are able to see 6 programs present on the disk. Correct? Can you see 6 boxes here? So out of these 6 programs, how many are chosen to enter main memory? Only 2 are chosen to enter main memory. Correct? So out of these 6, which of these 6 should enter main memory? A selection is done here initially. Out of these 6, a selection is done initially on the disk. Okay, like which of the 2 programs must be chosen to enter the main memory. This selection is referred to as initial round of selection is done on the disk. This selection, out of these 6, all 6 cannot move main memory. Only 2 are chosen to enter the main memory. So this initial round of selection is referred to as dash. What is this? First round of selection that happens on the disk, wherein the processes that have to enter the main memory are selected. This primary round of selection is referred to as dash. Did you understand the question? Did you understand the question? Now there are 6 programs on the disk. All 6 cannot enter the main memory.
Question repeat.
ಏನಪ್ಪ?
Question repeat ಮಾಡಿ ಸರ್ ಒಂದ್ಸಲ.
ಅದೇ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. So there are 6 programs on the disk. All 6 cannot enter main memory. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ main memory size is lesser. Only 2 are chosen. Say main memory can hold only 2 programs ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ out of 6. So first round of selection has to be done. ಎಲ್ಲ 6 ಬರಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ. 6 ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವುದೋ 2ನ selection ಅಂತೂ ಆಗಬೇಕು. First round of selection has to happen, okay, on the disk. So this first round of selection is referred to as dash.
Priority.
Priority.
CPU scheduler.
Priority CPU scheduler. Priority scheduling is option A. CPU scheduling is option B. Then anything else? Shloka?
Sir.
Tell ma.
Sir, CPU scheduling.
That was the answer given by you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Wherever? Anybody else? Anybody else?
Process schedule. Process schedule.
Process scheduling. So ಈಗ ನಾನು ಕ್ವಶನ್ ನೋಡಿಸ್ಕೋಬಾರ್ದು. So I will include my last option, that is none. So how many of you consider this the answer as A, priority scheduling ಅಂತ ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಅನ್ಕೊಂತೀರಾ? ನನ್ನ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳಿದೆ? Out of the 6 programs that are present on the disk, okay, all cannot enter, only 2 can enter. So first round of selection has to be done on the disk, like which of these programs should enter the main memory. So first round of selection is done. This round of selection is referred to as dash, was my question. So how many of you feel this as priority scheduling? Option A. How many of you feel the answer as priority scheduling? Option A. You want me to wait for the whole day? Yeah. Okay. So it's not priority scheduling. Shloka,
Sir.
do you now think your answer is right? Do you think your answer is right?
No, sir.
Your answer is not right.
No.
No. You are not confident.
No, sir.
Is there anybody else who considers CPU scheduling as the right answer?
The CPU scheduling is right answer, sir.
Sir, CPU scheduling.
You feel CPU scheduling is the right answer?
Yes, sir.
Suprita?
Yes, sir. CPU scheduling.
CPU scheduling. 2 votes for this now, including the first vote that was given by Shloka. So 3 votes are there for now for that particular answer. Any boys for this answer?
Yes, sir. CPU scheduling is the right answer.
Okay. +1. Anybody else?
Yes, sir.
Anybody else?
Sir, CPU scheduling is right.
CPU. ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಹೇಳಪ್ಪ, ಪರವಾಗಿಲ್ಲ.
Okay, sir.
Okay. CPU scheduling. So all of you are wrong. Even that is not the right answer. Yeah. Why are you laughing? Asha.
Sir, or just scheduling.
No, sir, I'm not.
Okay.
Sir, long-term scheduler.
This is called, who is that? Suprita. It's called a long-term scheduler. Okay. She is telling the answer as long-term scheduler. Based on her answer, I will give 4 options. Option A. Option B, job scheduler.
ಎರಡು ಒಂದೇ ಅಲ್ವಾ?
Job scheduler. Option C, either A or B. D. Option D, neither A nor B. Neither A nor B.
Scheduling.
Sir, option C. Option C.
Option
C.
B.
ಅದು ಲಾಂಗ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಸ್ಕೆಡ್ಯೂಲರ್ ಆದ್ರೂ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಜಾಬ್ ಸ್ಕೆಡ್ಯೂಲರ್ ಆದ್ರೂ
ಸರ್,
ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು.
ಎರಡು ಒಂದೇ ಅಲ್ವಾ?
ನನಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ, ನೀವು ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಏನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ.
ಎರಡು ಒಂದೇ ಸರ್.
Scheduling.
ಸರ್, either A or B ಸರ್. ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಸಿ.
ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಸಿ.
Process scheduling.
ಏನಪ್ಪ?
Process scheduling.
ನೋಡಿದ್ಯಾ, ಅವನು ಹೇಳ್ದ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಿನ್ನ ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ನೈದರ್ ಎ ನಾರ್ ಬಿ ಅಂತನಾ?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
ನೋಡಿ, ಪೇಪರ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಮಾಡಿರೋ ಅವನಿಗೆ 2 ಟೈಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ he will feel so happy. One, first time when nobody gets his answer, gets right answer for that question. ಅವನು ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಕಷ್ಟಪಟ್ಟು ಅವ್ನು ಸೆಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಯಾರ್ದು ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಸರಿ ಆಗ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದಾಗ ಅವನಿಗೊಂದು ಸಂತೋಷ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್, ಯಾವಾಗ ಸಂತೋಷ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಆಪ್ಷನ್ಗೂ ಒಬ್ರಲ್ಲ ಒಬ್ರು ಕೈ ಎತ್ತಿದ್ರೆ, ನೋಡು, ಈಗ ನಾನು ಆಪ್ಷನ್ ಡಿ ಕೂಡ ಇಟ್ಟೆ, ಒಂದು ನೈದರ್ ಎ ನಾರ್ ಬಿ ಅಂತ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಒಬ್ಬ ಆದ್ರೂ ಸಿಕ್ಕದ್ನಲ್ಲ. ನಾನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋ 4 ಆಪ್ಷನ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಐ ಗಾಟ್ ಓಕೆ ಅಟ್ ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ 1 ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಫಾರ್ ಈಚ್ ಆಫ್ ಮೈ 4 ಆಪ್ಷನ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಐ ಫೀಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪಿ for okay for setting questions like that. Okay, so correct answer ಏನಪ್ಪ?
Process scheduling.
ಅದು ಕೂಡ
ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್
wrong.
ಆನ್ಸರ್.
ಅದು ಕೂಡ ರಾಂಗ್. ಈಗ ಕರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆನ್ಸರ್ as Suprita told, it is okay, long term scheduling or job scheduling both mean one and the same. So adike option C is the right answer. Okay, so what do you mean by long term scheduling?
Sir, ready queue main memory ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತಾ? Sir, ready queue RAM ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತಾ? ready queue RAM ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತಾ? ready queue
ಹೌದು,
ಅದು RAM ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಥವಾ CPU?
ಇದು ಇಲ್ಲಿರುವಾಗ as long as it is present on the disk, okay, a first round of selection disk ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗೋ ಸೆಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅನ್ನ ನಾನು ಏನಂತ ಕರಿತೀನಿ, ಲಾಂಗ್ ಟರ್ಮ್ ಶೆಡ್ಯೂಲಿಂಗ್. ವೈ ದ ನೇಮ್ ಲಾಂಗ್ ಟರ್ಮ್? ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ I will come to it later on. Why the name?
It's not invoked on frequently.
It's not
invoked frequently, so it's called as a long-term scheduler. It's not
I will come back to that later. Let me just okay, go to the next topic and then come back to that particular question. Okay, I will take up that question after few minutes. Okay, now here out of these two programs, okay, how many processors are there? Only one CPU is there. Both programs cannot be executed by the single CPU simultaneously. It can execute only one program at a time. I may cover so many subjects for you. I may cover operating system, I may cover data structures, I may cover C, I may cover hooks with Java and so on. But can I cover all of these subjects simultaneously? No, I cannot cover all of these subjects simultaneously. Likewise, CPU, a single CPU cannot execute more than one program simultaneously. It can execute the programs at different intervals of time. So now, out of the 6 programs, 2 were chosen to enter main memory. Out of these 2 programs that are present in the main memory, only one can be executed by the CPU. So second round of selection is performed on the RAM. First round of selection is performed on the disk, and second round of selection is performed on the RAM, like for choosing the program that should be executed by the CPU. This is the round of selection is referred to as CPU scheduling, or it is also called as short-term scheduling. Okay, second round of selection that is performed on the main memory is referred to as CPU scheduling or short-term scheduling. And while this one, the first round of selection, is referred to as long-term scheduling or job scheduling. Okay, so why we use the term long-term for this and short-term for this, I will tell you now. Okay, now first time here, okay, a selection is done by the CPU scheduler. One of them is chosen by the CPU scheduler for the execution by the CPU. CPU in no time completes the execution of this process. Whichever has been selected, the moment it has been selected, it is executed by the CPU. Very next moment, okay, one more has to be chosen. Okay, one more has to be chosen for the execution by the CPU. So between the first selection and the second selection, let us assume now 3 programs are there and assume madkolana. Out of 6, 3 have entered main memory. Out of these 3, one was chosen by the CPU for the execution. So for the next execution, out of the remaining 2 processes, one of them must be chosen. So between the first selection and the next selection, there is no time, because who is there on the other side? The fastest unit of the computer, that is the CPU, is there on the other side. So, okay, after doing the first selection, in no time the program is executed, and it will be waiting for the next program to be execute. Okay, so the CPU scheduler or the short-term scheduler that is present here has to pick up the next program for the execution by the CPU. So between the first selection and the second selection, there is okay, very less time gap. So therefore, we call this as short-term scheduling. However, here, okay, so here after first round of selection, in first round of selection, 3 are chosen. As long as those 3 are not executed, for the second round of selection to happen, it will have some breathing time between the first round of selection and the second round of selection. Okay, there is some time gap, some breathing time gap that is available. So therefore, this scheduling is called as long-term scheduling or job scheduling, while this one is referred to as CPU scheduling or short-term scheduling. I hope now you have understood what is scheduling and what are the two types of scheduling. Okay, you understood in today's class, you understood the difference between a program and a process. Okay, that is the example that I gave you was as long as you are in the class, you are the same. You are a passive entity. The moment when some questions are asked to you, you will not open your mouths. Okay, you will be passive entities as long as you are in the classroom. The moment you go to a movie to watch a movie, so you all will become active entities. So likewise, as long as the program is present on the disk, it's a passive entity. The moment it enters main memory, it is called as a process, and the process is an active entity. At any moment it is ready to get executed by the CPU. So therefore, a process is an active entity. So I told, in order to improve, I also discussed about multi-programming. What do you mean by multi-programming? In order to improve the efficiency of the CPU and thereby the overall efficiency of the system, what we can do is, instead of sending only one program into main memory, we can send main memory's size is less. Yes, agreed. But it is not so small that it can hold only one single program. It can hold more than one program inside it. So instead of sending only one program into main memory, we can send more than one program into main memory, so that upon completion of execution of one program, the CPU will always have another program which is ready, kept ready in the main memory, and it can take up the execution of that program. So the CPU's idle time, waiting time can be reduced, and therefore the performance can be improved. So that concept we refer to as multi-programming. Okay, trying to send more than one program into main memory to improve the overall efficiency is referred to as multi-programming. How many programs we are sending into main memory, that concept is referred to as degree of multi-programming. So by increasing the degree of multi-programming, we can improve the overall efficiency of the system. So that is regarding multi-programming. We then discussed about types of scheduling. There are two types of scheduling, namely process scheduling, CPU scheduling, and there are two types of process scheduling. You can just call it as a scheduling, or you can call it as process scheduling. There are two types of process scheduling, namely CPU scheduling and CPU scheduling or short-term scheduling, and long-term scheduling or job scheduling. So first round of selection that is performed on the disk is referred to as long-term scheduling or job scheduling. The second round of selection, it is like this. Out of so many people now who are present here, okay, say you are, let us assume that you are all cricket players now. Okay, you are playing, so many people are playing in your particular place, and once, okay, first round of selection is done on you, and few are selected to play for Bangalore. Okay, and second round of selection is done on those players, and some of them will be picked to play for India. So first round of selection that is done in smaller places of Karnataka, that you can consider as long-term scheduling or job scheduling. Second round of selection that is done, okay, to play for India, that you can consider as short-term scheduling. Okay, so you now, I hope now know the difference between long-term scheduling and short-term scheduling. Okay, now let us see scheduling criteria. Scheduling criteria, based on what factors? Okay, based on what factors I need to do the selection. See, when you go to purchase a particular product, say you want to purchase a cell phone. you will look at several factors before you purchase a particular product. Likewise, before you choose a particular selection method, there are so many methods that are available. Let me, before going to scheduling criteria, let us try to discuss about some of the methods, such as FCFS. First type of method is first come first serve. So whichever program has entered the main memory first, okay, out of these three, whichever has entered the main memory first, that can be chosen by the CPU to, okay, for the execution. So that concept, that algorithm is referred to as first come first serve, or okay, it can choose the shortest job of, okay, shortest job first of these three. Say now, see, out of so many subjects that are there, I have randomly chosen few subjects. One subject was chosen, that was data structures. Later on, I chose operating system, and so on. On what factor did I choose? Okay, I tried to choose smaller subjects for the completion. Okay, so likewise, out of these three programs, whichever program's size is less, that program can be chosen by the CPU for execution. So that concept is referred to as shortest job first, SJF, or based on priority. Based on a priority, okay, a particular priority, it may randomly select one of those three processes. Okay, based on some priority, if the user has defined any priority for the execution, based on that priority, CPU may execute that particular program. So such a type of processing is referred to as priority. Such a type of scheduling is referred to as priority scheduling. Then you have round robin scheduling. In case of round robin scheduling, okay, first program is executed for a while, okay, for some time period. Then second program is executed for the same amount of time. Then it will move on to the third one. It is executed for the same amount of time. Then it will come back to the first program. It will start from where it had stopped, it had left. It will resume the execution. Then it will execute the first program for the next time slice, and will go back to the second program. It will commence the execution from where it had stopped. So this concept, this type of executing all programs is referred to as round robin scheduling. It is like me covering one topic of data structures, okay, then second topic, one topic of operating system, one topic of Java, one topic of C programming, and so on. This way also I can complete the syllabus. So this type of scheduling is referred to as round robin scheduling. Then you have multi-way feedback scheduling, multi-way queue scheduling, multi-way queue scheduling. In multi-way queue scheduling, I will divide the jobs into different queues. The jobs are written into different queues, and I can use one policy. Here I will have one part of the CPU executing this particular okay, set of processes. Another part of this is useful not for uniprocessor system. It is useful for multiprocessor system. Say I have more than one processor. Okay, I have several cores of a processor. Dual core, quad core, octa core processors will be there, no? So in such processors, okay, I can implement multi-way queue scheduling. In case of multi-way queue scheduling, jobs are maintained in different queues, and one processor may start executing these processes. Okay, it can adopt it can adopt SJF for this particular queue, and the next processor may adopt FCFS for this particular queue, and so on. Okay, this is called as multi-way queue scheduling. But here what can happen is there can be few queues with lesser or no processes. and few queues with more number of processors. So there will be a imbalance in the size of the queues. Okay, there can be, it is like this. In some counters, say there are some counters for handicapped people. Okay, there may not be any handicapped person at all standing in the queue, but whereas, okay, there you may find a longer queue to get tickets. So many people are standing in the next queue. So is it possible for these people to go and stand in the other queue that is meant for handicapped people? No, they cannot move. So similarly, okay, in case of multi-way queue, the processes cannot be shifted from one queue to another queue. Okay, so to overcome this, we have multi-way feedback queue. So here, this restriction can be avoided. That is, processes present in one queue might be moved to another queue also. So these are the different scheduling algorithms that are available. Okay. So now let us look at, these are the different scheduling algorithms available for what type of scheduling. Are they available for long-term scheduling or for the short-term scheduling, CPU scheduling? These are the different CPU scheduling algorithms. We are not bothered about long-term scheduling. We are discussing about the CPU scheduling algorithms. So now let us now look at different criteria. Based on what criteria? See, no particular technique is superior over others all the times. Sometimes, say for example, you go to a movie, you are standing first in the queue. You wish what policy to be adopted while issuing the ticket. You wish, okay, first come first served to be adopted by them to issue the tickets to you because you are standing first in the queue. If suppose you are the last person standing in the queue, do you want the theater people to follow FCFS? No. You may want them to use SJF or say priority queue, something like that. Okay. You just want him to call out your name, though you are standing at the end of the queue. Okay. Hey, nin papa, nino, nin uddakidiyala, nin ba. Okay, that is priority scheduling. Yenama, nin nintidiyala papa, your jete, bama nini kadege. Yara kulla idanalla avun ba. So SJF. Kullan karadre SJF. Okay. So what I wanted to tell is no single algorithm is superior all the times. Okay, a particular algorithm can be superior only at a particular interval of time. So based on these factors, operating system will decide which of those things should be, which of these algorithms should be followed for the execution. So based on the programs that are present, based on several factors, the CPU, the operating system follows one of those algorithms for the CPU scheduling. Okay, now based on what criteria it will choose the programs for selection for execution, we will see now. So it should, okay, it should accept less waiting time. Waiting time should be lesser because it has chosen a particular algorithm. Okay, the programs that are other programs that are present in the queue, okay, must not spend more time. The OS chooses one algorithm. Okay, by choosing that algorithm, it should not cause other processors to wait longer in the queue. Such an algorithm it has to choose. So lesser waiting time, then more or higher throughput. Throughput means what? Throughput is, say for example, say I am given 1 hour's time to cover as the time duration to handle this particular class. As a teacher, I want to cover maximum in this 1 hour's time. Say for example, okay, in a cricket over, there are 6 balls. Okay, I want each ball to be sent to a sixer, so that I can score more runs in that particular over. Correct? So likewise, that is called as the throughput. Okay. So it should improve the throughput. It should improve the throughput. It should lessen the waiting time. Then the performance. Okay, it should not disrupt the performance. So these are some of the factors that the operating system considers while choosing one of those algorithms as the CPU scheduling algorithms. Okay, so we will now try to move to the next topic. Okay. We have a very important topic called as deadlock. Okay. In case of deadlock, okay, deadlock is a situation wherein the performance of the overall performance of the system comes down. When it can happen, say for example, let us take one example. Say there is a process called as process 1. Okay, process 1 is waiting for the printer. Say it has a printer. Let us assume it is allocated the printer. Printer is a resource. This is the process. Okay, it is waiting for a particular file which is being used by. See, P1 is waiting for a file. This file is being used by second process, and the process is waiting for the printer. Printer is held by P1, and P1 is waiting for the file which is being used by P2. P2 is waiting for the printer. Okay. See, I have one resource and I am waiting for another resource which is held by a different process. And this situation will never end. It is very similar to this. Say I have entered the class to start my class, and I am waiting for you people to tell me to start the class. And you people are, okay, you are not ready to tell me to start the class. Okay, he has come to the class. Is it not his duty to start his class? Should we tell him to start the class? Anta Neevu, you are waiting for me to start on my own, and I am waiting for you to tell me to start. And this situation will never end. Okay, it will not at all end until the say the end of the class, or the end of the day, or the end of the month, end of the year. Okay, this situation will continue forever and ever. This never-ending situation, okay, is referred to as a deadlock. So a deadlock, okay, during a deadlock, you will not find any useful thing happening other than, okay, a process waiting for a resource which is held by a different process. So this situation will never end, and this keeps on moving. It will never end, and it keeps on happening forever and ever. So that kind of a situation is called as a deadlock. And during a deadlock, the overall performance of the system would definitely drop. So what are we supposed to do? There are two actually ways of handling it. Okay, deadlock prevention. Okay, deadlock prevention or avoidance. Okay, not allowing the deadlock to happen to the system at all, or deadlock. Okay, so in case of deadlock management is another thing. So you are allowing the system to enter into deadlock, and okay, overcome that deadlock after after being affected by the deadlock, okay, trying to overcome from it. So that is another way of dealing that this particular situation. Okay, many a times what happens is, in case of a deadlock, it is like this. It is not by not trying to going out of your house, okay, by during a rainy season, on a rainy day, you are not going outside your house, and you are trying to keep inside your house, and there are lesser chances of you getting cold or fever because you are not going out when it is raining outside. That is one way of prevention of cold, correct? Or avoidance. But this results in, it is like this. Say your father has got a very big large screen TV he has got, okay, for your house, and he has okay, he has locked the room where that TV is there, and he has the keys with him. He is scared that you people do not study. If he allows you to use it, okay, you will not study. He is scared. Okay, so what he is trying to do? He is trying to lock the room. So that results in lesser resource utilization. That means the TV is not being used at all. What was the necessity of getting that TV? Okay, such after spending so many thousands of rupees, what was the necessity? It is not getting used at all. It is not getting used at all. So likewise, here also you have different resources. You have different resources that are available. You are putting a lot of restrictions on the usage of these resources. So there will be the resources are not properly managed. So that is not a good idea. So trying to keep more restrictions will result in poorer utilization of the resources. So next way of doing that is, okay, you are allowing the processors to request different resources as and when they want. Okay, whatever they want, you are allowing the processors to make those requests, and based on those requests, okay, it can enter the deadlock, and later on, okay, deadlock recovery, okay, that is management. So you try to recover from the deadlock. So okay, so this is another way of managing the deadlock. So what are the factors that result in a deadlock? Let us try to analyze now. The different factors that can result in a deadlock are hold and wait. This is one of the reasons. This is one of the factors that can result in a possible deadlock. Hold and wait. That means I have one resource. I am a process. I have one resource. I am waiting for another resource which is held by a different process. So this is one of the reasons why a deadlock can happen. Another possible reason is circular wait. Circular wait. In case of a circular wait, okay, see, process 1 has resource 1. It is waiting for R2, which is held by P2. Okay, so P2 has R2, but P1 also wants this R2. So P2 is waiting for R3. This R3 is with P3. Okay, so this P3 is waiting for this R1, which is with P1. Okay, P3 has R3 and it is waiting for R1 for the first resource, which is held by the first process. So there is a chain. Okay, that the cycle got completed here. So they are waiting. The different processes are waiting for the resources in a circular manner. So this also could possibly result in a deadlock. So hold and wait, circular wait. Okay, these are some of the factors that can possibly result in a deadlock. So how to overcome? Then there is one more reason, one more factor is no preemption. No preemption. What do you mean by no preemption? Means, okay, say it is like this. There is a condition that you cannot stop. You cannot whenever you wish to take back the resource from a process, it is not possible until and unless the process decides to relinquish the control of that particular resource. It is not possible to take back the resource. So you cannot take back the resource until the process decides to give away the resource. So that is no preemption. Then also a deadlock can happen. So how to now handle that deadlock? How to recover from a deadlock? To recover from a deadlock, you need to negate each of these. You should see that there is no hold and wait. Okay, hold and wait results in deadlock. How to recover from a deadlock? You should see that there is no hold and wait. First point is no hold and wait. How? You can put a condition. If suppose you want to request for a resource, first it is like this. This is the concept that the librarians would follow in a college. Okay, say you have borrowed some books from the library. You are placing a request for new books from the library. So what they will tell? They will ask you to first return the books whatever you have taken already, and only after you returning back those books, you are not given new books. Okay, so this way also we can avoid deadlocks, recover from a deadlock. No hold and wait. And circular wait. In case of circular wait, what you can do is, see, only when P1 has R1, it is waiting for R2. R2 is with P2 and so on. Correct? See, this P2 is waiting for R3, which is with P3 and so on. So now you can put a condition that, okay, a particular process can request only a higher numbered. Circular wait means what? P3 is holding R3 and it is waiting for R1. Correct? In order for this cycle to complete, it is making a request to a lower numbered resource, that is R1. This is P3. Okay. So you can put a condition to break this cycle. What you can do is you can put a condition that a process can request only a resource that is numbered higher. It cannot request a resource which has a lesser number. If this condition, if I put, so what is going to happen? P3, if it is trying to wait for R1, okay, this cycle, okay, gets complete. So what I do, if that condition is applied here, P3 cannot request R1 at all because R1 is a smaller numbered resource. So there is no chance of this trying to enter circular wait. No preemption. No preemption means until and unless it is like this. You are holding the book with you. You will return the book whenever you wish. Nobody can tell you. Even the principal cannot ask you to return back your books. Sir, I will keep this book for 3 years, and only after I move out of my diploma or move out of my BE, I will return the books. That is no preemption. So no preemption, opposite of no preemption is what? Allowing preemption. That is, okay, whenever they feel that they have to take back the book, what they can do is that by using force, they always have the right to take back that book. So that way also we can recover from a deadlock. So these are some of the ways in which we can handle